Allison Leggett,
Here.
Augustin Cervantes, Kathy Kreisha, Katrina Chakowski.
Here.
Patrick McKee,
Here.
Bob Fraley,
Here.
Alan Hallis,
Here.
Mike Hillis, Marissa Luna Lopez,
Here.
Jason Lee, Gerard Morrison,
Yep.
Kevin Taylor. Yep, quorum.
All right, thank you. And happy spring, everybody. Good to see you all. Glad you're with us. Let's talk about some logistics here. This meeting is being conducted in hybrid fashion. All members are in person. Other participants, such as institutional representatives and team leads, as well as some staff, will be attending virtually. The Zoom link and a toll-free phone number has also been made available to the public. Please mute your laptop speakers and microphones and mute yourselves on your Zoom video. This is a very important reminder to please press the button on your microphone to activate it when you speak. If you do not do that, those listening online will not be able to hear your comments and they will not be recorded. It is important to turn off your microphone when you are done speaking. Regarding Zoom identification, for those participating via Zoom, we'd like to ask that everyone check their Zoom ID and make sure it contains your first and last name accurately, so we're able to call on you appropriately, and also so that we can get all names accurately recorded in the record. If you need to update your name, click on the 3 dots in the window with your picture to bring up the rename option. This also includes commission staff this time, as we understand some of you have recently received new computers. Congratulations. And the name setting is going back to a general default for the commission, so please remember to rename yourself. When it is time to take up an item, we will need a moment to bring the appropriate attendees into the main meeting room and be sure that they can see and hear the committee, and that we can see and hear them as well. Participants will need to turn on their camera and unmute their microphone. Regarding public comment, if any member of the public wishes to comment on a specific item, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen during the item. You will be brought into the main meeting room at the appropriate time and asked to state your name and affiliation for the record. If you wish to speak at a specific item, please send a request through the chat feature telling us which item you wish to speak to so we can ensure to call on you during the appropriate time. You may also send your comments through the chat feature and we'll read those aloud. Please be sure we have your full name and affiliation and which item and name you're referencing. There's also a time designated for general public comment at the end of the meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and after the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be made available via the Commission's website. Regarding motions and voting, when you make your motions, please state the motion in full so that there is no question on what the motion is. Because committee members are all in person, a roll call vote is not necessary, so you may respond by either saying aye, nay, or abstain when asked for your vote. Of course, we can do a roll call when needed. Committee members have any questions about the protocols on voting today? Yes, we also like to acknowledge that member Michael Hillis has joined us for the meeting. Thank you. Yep. All right, moving on to item 2. Item 2 is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the March 2024 meeting? Please remember to unmute your microphone when speaking.
Move to approve the agenda.
So moved by member Morrison. Is there a second? Second by member Hallis. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the January 2024 meeting? It will be appropriate for any committee member who was not in attendance at that meeting to abstain. Is there a motion? Member Kreisha.
I move that we accept the minutes from the January meeting.
So moved. Is there a second? Second by member McKee. All in favor, please. Oh, before we do that, any corrections or changes? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4 is the co-chair and member reports. Any members have anything you wish to report? Member Kreisha, okay, sorry, co-chair Kreisha. Chakowski. Been a long morning.
Well, it's not like super important, but since I announced that we were going to field an academic decathlon team, I feel it fitting that I announced that we finished second in the league. The kids had lots of fun. It was nerd combat at its finest. That was fun. And then we also fielded a team in the Kim Butler Memorial Indoor Rowing Championships. which was held in the gym at Hilltop High School. And Mar Vista's team was 3rd out of 24. So sports coming to the South Bay that haven't been there before.
Congratulations. That's very cool. Anyone else have anything you wish to report? All right, seeing no, item 5. Item 5 is staff reports. Erin Sullivan, would you like to begin?
I would, thank you. I would like to begin by enthusiastically welcoming a new member to our staff. Jasmine. This is Jasmine Nasser. Jasmine has worked in the education field in a variety of roles. She served as a first grade teacher and curriculum planner in New Orleans, Louisiana, and worked as an education researcher supporting studies related to school choice and teacher evaluation in New York City. She's also worked for different education nonprofits in California, designing, managing, and implementing education programming. Most recently, Jasmine worked as a consultant in BDO's nonprofit and grantmaker advisory practice, providing advising and technical assistance services to nonprofit and philanthropic organizations. Jasmine earned her bachelor's degree in community development and education from University of California, Davis, yay, local, and a master's degree in sociology of education and education policy from New York University. Jasmine is a member of Cara Mendoza's new grants staff, and we are thrilled to have her join us for that work. Welcome, Jasmine. Okay, so briefly, because we do have, it's a one-day meeting, but we've got a lot of items and some of them may take a little while. So I just want to give a quick update. So in terms of accreditation activities, program review feedback was sent out to the institutions in February. And even though site visits are mostly deferred for next year, consultants are still going to reach out to all of those institutions and spend some time helping them kind of unpack that feedback and get started responding to it. We are encouraging institutions to create their response addendum now, even though things may change by the time they have their site visit. Staff could change as well. So getting that feedback addressed right now and just kind of having that in place, we think is really a best practice. So staff is going to start working with them. Common standard submissions for the green cohort were due on February 29th, Leap Day. We gave them an extra day. And all but one institution did respond with their common standards review evidence. Those sessions have already started. So we're already doing our common standards review, and that feedback, of course, will also go back to institutions. Preconditions submissions for the yellow and violet cohort. So for any of our LA Lakers fans out there, yellow and violet, those submissions are due at the end of this month on March 31st. Staff has been holding biweekly preconditions office hours to help the institutions kind of ask questions and prepare those submissions. We are putting a new feedback document in place this year for both staff and the institutions that we're hoping will make it easier for institutions, because for preconditions, the process is iterative, right? They have to keep responding and updating their evidence or clarifying until we can see full alignment. And sometimes that can take several steps. And it can be hard to track, okay, where exactly am I? What exactly do we need now? So I just want to thank staff for kind of their out of the box thinking and collaboration and coming up with a new feedback form. So it's new to us and it's new to institutions, but the staff that developed it has provided guidance to everyone. So we're looking forward to that and hoping it really streamlines things for everyone. We have an April commission meeting coming up. The agenda will be posted on the 5th. I just want to encourage everybody to look for that agenda when it's posted. Items on this commission meeting will include final edits to cost recovery regulations. It's not very exciting for anybody but us, I'm sure, just because the regulatory process is pretty breathtaking at times. So anytime we get something finalized and pushed through, we're really excited about that. Cost recovery, these are the fees that institutions pay for things other than your annual accreditation fees. So submitting a new program, revisits, things like that. There aren't any major changes. We just organized it differently. It used to be organized by number of standards that an institution had to respond to. And that's no longer really representative of the complexity of a program, number of standards. So we organized it by complexity of program and those various fee levels. So looking forward to that getting approved. The CSTP, refreshed CSTP that were introduced to the commission in January, commissioners asked for a few tweaks. So there's a consent item with just to show the commissioners that those corrections have been made, and the public, of course. So that will be there along with a timeline. The commission asked for a timeline for implementation, so that'll be included as well. We will have also on consent an IIA item that reflects the COA's. It reflects what the COA already sort of agreed to, approved of for staff to move forward, which is that the provisional date, the start date for an institution's provisional operational period will begin when their program is approved by the COA instead of in stage 3, when sometimes they lose a year between stage 3 and stage 4. We really need them to have that full 2 to 3 years operational so that we have enough folks to interview. So that item will be going before the commission. The teacher supply annual report is coming up, which is always very interesting, a very exciting report. Obviously, we've had a sneak peek. I can't tell you about that because it's not public yet, but definitely be looking for that. There will be an update on the child development panel work group at that meeting. There will be a report from our grants folks on the residency grant programs, which also I'll just, as a little sneak peek, it's an exciting report. There's some great information there. And then there will be an update from staff on the Cal FTPA, which is the formative teaching performance assessment, which is being used for the child development permit folks. So those will be the items that we have there. And then Kara shared with me some updates on grants. Teacher and school counselor residency grants. We are done for the year with the RFAs. The teacher residency capacity grants will be announced on March 25th, so this coming Monday. And teacher residency implementation and expansion grants on April 5th will be announced. School counselor capacity round 3 grants will be announced in the coming weeks. The last request for proposal or request for, what's the A? Why is application? Sorry, my brain was blanking out. The last request for application round for the classified grants is due tomorrow, March 22nd, and the grant awards will be announced on April 26th. Staff, we all kind of have a lot to do. It's a come one, come all to review all of these grants. The last RFA for this fiscal year will be the DELPI grant, which is the Diverse Education Leaders Pipeline Initiative. Applications in response to this RFA are due on April 5th, and grant awards will be announced by May 10th. New Q&As will be added to the growing list of Q&As that we do post on the website to help institutions that are interested in applying for these. The first list was published on February 23rd, and then additional questions were added on March 1st, March 8th, March 15th, and on tomorrow on March 22nd, we'll add some more. So we do keep adding to those Q&As again to assist programs and institutions. This DELPI grant is a very popular grant program. So we are expecting to get a lot of applications for that particular grant. Just one last reminder. So this is not grants. This is a separate item. RECA will be sunsetting on July 1st of 2025. At that point, the literacy performance assessment will be in place. So I say that, I guess, with some emphasis because it's not going away. Assessment for candidates of their reading competency, it's just changing. So if you have candidates out there who maybe came through COVID with a RECA deferral, and they may be thinking, well, TPA got deferred, maybe RECA will get deferred. We have no indication at all that RECA is going to be deferred, but that exam is going away in about a year. So really want to encourage candidates that need to take RECA to take RECA. And as an added bonus, there is still a fee deferral for those exams. And in fact, the fee deferral ends on June 30th. What that means is not that candidates have to pass it by June 30th, but they could register for the exam up until June 30th, receive that fee deferral, and still have up to a year to take the test. So please tell them, like, there's no fee for taking it right now. And there's no fee if they at least get registered for it by June 30th. So really want to just encourage. Yes, yeah, June 30, 2024 is when that fee deferral ends. And then, David, would you like to add anything?
And one thing about that, the fee waiver is that there is no proposal in the 2024-25 budget to continue that. So no one should expect that will continue. This will be the last year as far as we know. Two quick updates for you. One is something we're going to talk about this afternoon, and that's the literacy certification process. But I just want to highlight that staff have started holding office hours to support programs on that. And so I think it's good for everyone to hear more than once that we are holding office hours to help programs with the certification process to understand what's required. And we will be starting to accept submissions April 24th.
Oh,
Thank you.
26th,
Late April.
late April. Sorry.
We
about
have
that.
the date in our presentation this afternoon.
We do. And thank you for mentioning that. I can't believe that was the thing that I forgot to mention. We had our first set of office hours last week, and we kind of took roll, not to be punitive, but just to see who came and who didn't. And earlier this week, I think Monday or Tuesday, I went through our database and I downloaded all of the institutions with multiple subject or ed specialist programs who were not in attendance at our first set of office hours. And I just sent them a private, hey, we're having office hours. Here's the link to the upcoming office hours, just to encourage folks to come. We're trying to offer as much technical assistance as possible. This literacy standard, even just the certification piece, it's no small work. And we want institutions to avail themselves of anything that we can offer to help them be successful in this certification process. So everybody got a personal email this week, including some that responded to me and said, we only have a single subject program. Well, I'm sorry. There was a lot to sort through. So we're doing all we can. Thank you, David, for mentioning that.
And then the other update is the California Council on Teacher Education, CCTE, held their SPAN conference last week. And we had presentations from Chelsea Kelly from Assembly Education Committee and Aaron Gable from Assembly Budget. And the message was, you need to make your voice heard about maintaining current programs. One in particular is the Golden State Teacher Grants. There's conflicting reports as to when they will run out of money. At a budget hearing last week, that they think they will have money through the beginning of the 2025-26 academic year, but we have heard privately that it may run out next year during 24-25. So the legislature is going to have to make some tough decisions as to where to pull back, because there's a budget package, an early budget, I forget what the governor called it, but they're trying to reduce the deficit this year still. So a package was, there's agreement that was made yesterday. They're going to make cuts places. So please let your representatives know what you think is most important. And if you have a story to tell, even better. Legislators often listen, they'll remember stories more than they'll remember to statistics. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, David. And welcome, Jasmine. Nice to have you aboard. Looking forward to working with you. All right, I'm sorry, Patrick, question?
Just a quick clarification question back to the RICA. So if a candidate does not take the RECA after being advised and it does sunset, their pathway then becomes what to clear their credential?
The literacy performance assessment.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure I had that correct. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 6. Item 6 is program approval recommendations. Program approvals, this section is for action, and there are 3 institutions with 4 programs for approval. The first is Hope International University's Teacher Induction Program. And joining us today, just checking to be sure we have them on, we do have them. Okay, great. Joining us today from Hope International University to answer any questions you may have about the program are Dr. Joyce Lee Yang, Dean, Jackie York, Associate Professor, Cal TPA and Cal APA Coordinator, and Corey DeWitt, Assistant Professor for Credentials Analyst and Student Teaching Coordinator. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, would institutional representatives like to say anything regarding your proposed program?
Good morning. My name is Dr. Joyce Lee Yang. I'm the Dean of the College of Education here at Hope International University. I just have to take a minute to thank the IPR team, especially Rosemary and Poonam, who were just really fantastic in supporting us through this process. And thank you all also at the Commission on Accreditation for your time today. I just wanted to give a quick summary about our program and to begin by saying that this really is a labor of love for me. And I think that our team is well aware of that. We believe that teacher induction is one of the most powerful ways to support and develop new teachers so that they don't just make it through their first 2 years, but they actually thrive and grow and want to stay and persist in the field. So our 2-year induction program is grounded in 2 research principles, which we use to design the program. The first is the weekly one-to-one mentoring meeting and relationships. That is to provide the specific support that new teachers need during their first years. And then the second is to strengthen the candidate's data-driven instruction and decision-making process through that inquiry model. We want to support them through their development of the CSTPs as they go into their first 2 years of teaching. So we do have a triad meeting built in so that the site administrators involved, the weekly one-to-one meetings with the mentor, a candidate-driven individualized learning plan, affectionately known as the ILP, which guides the candidate through the process and also helps them to continue that process of using current student data to drive their instruction and growth. And then most importantly, the regular feedback and support from their mentor, professor, program chair, just the village that it takes to help a new teacher ensure that they are successful. At the end, we do have a colloquium, a big celebration. We have our year 1 candidates share about their process, what they learned, and they share that with their peers as well as fellow other mentors in the group. And we also have year 2s complete an exit panel. So kind of like a culminating activity for their 2 years. It really is a celebration of learning and growth and just sort of sending them off into the full clear credential world of teaching that we hope that they will stay in for many, many years.
Great, thank you. Any other member wish to offer any comment? No? Okay. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Hope International University? Just as a reminder, we have a bit of a report that's in our meet agenda online. You can read more details. Okay, seeing none. Is there a motion to approve the teacher induction program for Hope International University? Member Crecia.
I move that we approve the Hope International Teacher Induction Program.
All right, thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Looking forward to hearing more of your program down the line.
Thank you very much.
Great. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye. The second program is Alliant International University's Child Welfare and Attendance, the CWA authorization for the Pupil Personnel Services, School Counseling, and Pupil Personnel Services School Psychology programs. And joining us today from Alliant University is to answer any questions you may have is Dr. Christy Pruitt, Dean of Alliant California School of Education. And before we start, just a reminder that adding a CWA program to an existing PPS program is a fairly efficient process because the base PPS credential contains all of the content for the CWA program under the new standards, and that the candidates are doing 150 hours of field work within their credential program. So they're adding to the CWA authorization. So the process is really focused around the additional 150 hours of field work, and it is considered a staff review. Any recusals on the item? All right, seeing none, would the institutional representative like to say anything about the proposed program? Dr. Pruitt.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I just would like to say thank you to the IPR team for getting this reviewed promptly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any committee members have any questions you'd like to ask of Dr. Pruitt? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve Alliant International University's Child Welfare and Attendance, CWA, authorization to the Pupil Personnel Services School Counseling and Pupil Personnel Services School Psychology Program? And you have to repeat the entire thing. All right, Member Hallis.
I'll give it a shot. I move to approve the Alliant International University's Child Welfare and Attendance authorization to the Pupil Personnel Services School Counseling and Pupil Personnel Services School Psychology.
Well done. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Lopez. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. Have a great day. The third is Loyola Marymount University's Child Welfare and Attendance authorization to the Pupil Personnel Services School Psychology. Joining us today from Loyola Marymount University to answer any questions you may have about the program is Dr. Kathleen Avina Blanco, Child Welfare and Attendance Program Director. Are there any recusals on the item? All right, seeing none, Dr. Avina Blanco, would you like to offer any comment?
Thank you all for welcoming me to your meeting. My apologies that I sound the way I do. I'm recovering from a cold. I just wanted to say that I'm very proud of this program and I'm looking forward to continuing to expand this program. As we all know that chronic absenteeism is a very important topic around the nation and especially in California. And I'm looking forward to getting these students back in school.
Okay, thank you, and take care of your cold. Any committee members have any questions or comments you wish to offer? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve Loyola Marymount University's Child Welfare and Attendance authorization to the Pupil Personnel Services School Psychology? Member Morrison.
I move to approve Loyola Marymount Child Welfare and Attendance authorization to Pupil Personnel Services School Psychology.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Leggett. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Go drink some warm tea with lemon. Oh, okay. That's right. Okay, we're on to item 7 now. Item 7 is a report of program status changes. The item is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 includes items for action by the COA, which include requests to withdraw, requests to reactivate inactive programs, and or request to add a new content area to an existing program. Part 2 provides information on programs that have transitioned to revised program standards and programs that have elected to change to an inactive status. These items are for notification only and require no action by the COA. Part 1, sections A, B, and C. Section A, program withdrawals. Section A is for action. There was one program sponsor withdrawing one program. That's San Jose State University. School nurse program effective March 31st, 2024. Are there any recusals? Okay, is there a motion? Member Hallis.
Move to withdraw the San Jose State University School Nurse Program effective March 31st, 2024.
All right, so moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Item B, professional preparation programs requesting reactivation, and there are no programs requests for reactivation at this time. C, adding a new content area to an existing program. There are 3 institutions requesting to add a new content area to their existing programs. The first is University of San Francisco, single subject dance. And we have representatives from the University of San Francisco if you have any questions regarding the program. Joining us is Ruchi Rangnath, Associate Professor and Faculty Coordinator for South Bay MAT Program, Wendy Jones, Director of Dance, Lowell High School, and Laura Hanneman, Director, Effectiveness Strategy and Assessment. The committee members have any questions regarding the program? Would the representatives like wish to offer any comment? That is representatives from San Francisco, University of San Francisco.
I'll just say thank you to the commission for the review. And I just want to highlight that through this process, we've built a really strong partnership with our undergraduate dance program, and that's been really exciting to develop. And so we're really excited for the opportunity to offer this to our candidates.
Great, congratulations. Yeah, dance programs are relatively new across the state, so glad to see this. Very much so. This is an action item. Are there any recusals? Seeing none, is there a motion? Member Cracia.
I move that we add the dance single subject credential path for the University of San Francisco.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member McKee. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a great day. Next is University of Laverne, single subject dance and single subject theater. And we do have representatives from University of Laverne to answer any questions you may have about the program. Looks like Julie Johnson, Director of Continuous Improvement. Shauna Matamala, Director of Clinical Teaching and Fieldwork Experiences. And Isabel Oregel, and please correct me if I'm correct, is it Orehel?
Orehel, but you're good. Thank you.
Orehel. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Assistant Professor and Associate Program Chair of Teacher Education. Any committee members have any questions regarding the program? No questions. Would any member of the institution wish to offer any comment?
I just wanted to thank the commission, particularly Jake. He was instrumental in helping us, and then also our team for all their hard work. And we're excited to offer this, especially with Prop 28. We've had a lot of interest in promoting these two programs. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Yeah, being a music teacher myself at the university, we've seen such an influx of programs that are being introduced. So it's nice to have additional credential options in dance and theater. So thank you for introducing this and moving forward with it. Any other questions or comments? All right. This is for action. Is there a motion at all? Member Morrison.
Move to approve the university and the subject theater.
Thank you. Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion?
I have a recusal.
Well, we have one recusal. Thank you, Mr. McKee. So any further discussion at all? Okay, it's been moved and it's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Yep, looking forward to it. Thank you. All right, moving on to King Chavez Academy of Excellence, single subject in physical education. And we have representatives from King Chavez Academy of Excellence to answer any questions you may have regarding the program. We have Marky Bover, Credential Operations Program Advisor. Are there any recusals? Right. Would the institution wish to offer any comment? Do we have them with us? I thought I saw them briefly, but I don't see them now. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
There's still a few people in this room, so I'm not sure what's happening on my end, but I can just say thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to adding physical education to our single subject credential options and continuing to expand our program.
Great, thank you. We appreciate hearing that. Any questions or comments from committee members? All right, seeing none, this is an action item.
Oh, there we
Is
go.
there a motion? There you are. Now we see you.
Yeah, there's still some other people. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, no worries. The world of Zoom. Member Hallis.
I move we approve the King Chavez Academy of Excellence single subject physical education.
Great, thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member sorry, Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you for joining us and
you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. We're now moving on to part 2, sections D and E. The next 2 sections, D and E, are for notification purposes only and no action is required. For section D, these are programs that are transitioning. And the following institution has completed the documentation review to transition to recently updated standards for the bilingual authorization effective July 1st, 2023. Commission staff is working with the remaining institution to complete the transition plan, and the institution will be noticed at a future meeting. And that is University of San Francisco. Section E, programs moving to inactive status. It's an information item only, and there's one program requesting to move to inactive status. That's University of California, Berkeley, and the designated subject is adult education, effective April 15th, 2024. Now moving on to item 8. Item 8 is initial program approval for new program sponsors. There are no programs proposals from newly appointed or newly approved institutions to approve at this time. It's a lot of approved. Item 9. Item 9 is a discussion of institutions not in compliance with accreditation timelines. And Michelle Bernardo will introduce the item. And Ms. Bernardo, when you're ready, will you please begin?
Okay, good morning. I have a quick update for this item for common standards that were due on February 29th. We have CSU East Bay. We have not received their common standard submission, and staff is currently working with them to get those in.
Okay.
They should be in shortly.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you. All right. We're now moving to item 10. Item 10 is a discussion of the 7th year report for San Dieguito Union High School District. Consultant Christina Nahara will introduce the item. And joining her are institutional representatives Doug Gilbert and John DiGiulio, co-coordinators. Excuse me. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Ms. Nahara, will you please begin?
Good morning and happy Friday Eve, committee members. It's a pleasure to be here today to introduce the 7th year report from San Dieguito Union High School District, a follow-up to their January 2023 accreditation visit. The report provides detailed explanations on the actions the program has taken to address the met with concern finding on Program Standard 1. The finding relates specifically to the systematic collaboration with an IHE partner, as well as the ability to enroll all eligible candidates into the induction program. So I'd now like to welcome John and Doug, the co-coordinators, to summarize their progress on meeting the concerns that the site visit team had on Common Standard 1 and to introduce any questions you have, or to answer any questions you have.
Morning, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the commission for their time and Christina for her support through our site visit prior to and following up. So as Christina said, we've been able to establish a relationship with an IHE member from San Diego State University, Dr. Lupe Buell, who's been able to sit on our advisory board and plans to do so moving forward, offering valuable feedback that we've used for programmatic improvement. And we've also met with our district leadership, specifically our program supervisor, our associate superintendent, Mary Ann Nuskin, who's allowed for additional support and leaving room in our caseloads to accommodate candidates for rolling enrollment, as well as bringing on additional mentors and release time for our current mentors.
Okay, pardon me, excuse me. Okay, thank you. Any committee members have any questions or comments? Member McKee.
It was wonderful to hear all the additional resources being provided. My only question is there a plan for sustainability? Because I see that additional staff was added for 23-24. Is there a plan for the future?
We actually recently met with our program supervisor, associate superintendent Mary Ann Nuskin, to present our budget for 24-25. And the plan will continue to hold true. We'll have the same number of mentors, anticipating roughly the same number of candidates in our program, and the same amount of percentage release for our mentor team.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further questions or comments from committee members? Member Ellis.
Again, kudos to the work and everything you've been doing. I noticed on the induction caseload, the enrollment dates, you're certainly doing a great job supporting the teachers that are starting towards the beginning of the year in August. Talk about maybe teachers that get hired later in the year. We know that's a trend with every district. If they get hired in spring or a different time, is there a plan in place to support them when they come on board?
Absolutely. Yes. Specifically on my caseload, we hired a teacher at this semester to fill a void in our social science department here at the high school that I actually teach at. And we were able to enroll that candidate immediately. Actually had prior relationship because he had done his student teaching in our district. So we were able to jump right into our induction program. We sat down and reviewed what he had done in his prior district in terms of his induction. And we were able to dovetail that into our work and get him right into the program. And we are in the midst of doing our second inquiry actually in our program. So with the amount of room in our the district has allowed us, we're able to accept those candidates, onboard them, and then get them moving forward in our program.
Great, thank you. Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, again, good work on establishing a baseline that looks like it can be sustained. I mean, I'm just curious, do you anticipate, I mean, of course, all of this, it can't necessarily be predicted, but does your district expect to maintain the same level of enrollment that would predicate the same number of new teachers looking out into the future? Or are you looking at a reduction in enrollment in San Dieguito, as is the case in many places in Southern California?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting when we think that our enrollment in our induction program will dwindle. We find that it's maintained a pretty steady pace over the past several years. So our program hovers usually around 35 to 40 candidates, and we've been that for the past 5 or so years. And we anticipate that at least in the near future. So, our plan moving forward is to keep the team that we have, with the possibility of adding release time or possible mentors. And we have a pledge of support from our district to support us in the way of that.
Cool, thank you. And just out of curiosity, forgive me if it's embedded in your materials, but do you have a relationship with your collective bargaining unit that addresses induction and your role in that? Since you have kind of an interesting model of teacher-led induction oversight.
Yeah, right now we're in the process of a contract reopener. So we've met with our associate superintendent just to make sure that the language is clear regarding our program and the support that we provide for our teachers and other areas of the union where teachers are supported in different ways. If that answers your question.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions or comments from committee members? All right, this is an action item. Is there a motion to accept the 7th year report from San Dieguito Union High School District? Member Hillis.
I move that we accept the 7th year report for San Dieguito Unified School District.
So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Morrison. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you for the clarification and the information provided in your report. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And thank you, Ms. Naharo. Thank you very much. And
I just wanted to alert you all that the public is saying in times they're having trouble hearing us. Not me, certainly. I'm sure they could hear me without the mic in Zoom land. But some of you have such lovely, soothing voices. If you can just make sure the mic is close to you and you speak directly into it, it will help our public attendees hear us.
All right, thank you for the reminder. We have a 10 o'clock time certain. Do we have them all with us? We do. Great. Okay, so this is item 11. It's the report of actions taken by Cal Poly Pomona to address stipulations. Consultant Dr. Sarah Solari Colombini will introduce the item. And joining her today are institutional representatives, Dr. Sarara M. Coley, President, Dr. Janelle S. Pitt Parker, Dean, Dr. Neil Chaldoverdi, Interim Associate Dean, Dr. Amy Jamino, Accreditation Faculty Lead Coordinator, and Dr. S. Terry Gomez, Interim Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Any committee member need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Dr. Solari Columbini, will you please begin?
Certainly, thank you. So good morning, committee members. In February of 2023, Cal Poly Pomona hosted an accreditation site visit. The team report was shared with the COA at its March meeting, where a determination of accreditation with stipulations was made with the requirement that Cal Poly return to the COA in 1 year with a report addressing the stipulations. Today, I will present the report that Cal Poly submitted to staff in February. Throughout the course of this past year, Cal Poly has been diligently addressing each of the stipulations. Many of the stipulations were a result of bad timing. At the time of the site visit, the institution was in the process of searching for a new dean and was short-staffed. A permanent dean was hired, and that led to hiring of 4 additional tenure track faculty for the education department, all in the requisite areas of need that were identified in the site visit. The new dean has not only brought human capital to the School of Education, but she's also secured increased funding that has helped secure resources for consistent advising practices across all programs offered at the institution. So the issues that the team identified related to Common Standards 1 and 2 related to workload and advising have been addressed. In reference to Stipulation 2, there needed to be more transparency about the communication that occurred, and Cal Poly Pomona has established a more routine system of notification for their partners so that meetings are regular standing occurrences on all calendars. So the findings related to Stipulations 3, 4, and 5 are kind of interrelated. Cal Poly Pomona has a long history of providing student teachers and interns to many of the surrounding school districts. And so with its longstanding reputation, the clearly defined policies and practices kind of became blurred as people relied on relationships, right? This doesn't mean that the institution wasn't following the guidelines, but the guidelines were not clear to the district partners working with Cal Poly. So Cal Poly has updated their MOU language to ensure that it is very prescriptive about the types of placements candidates need to meet the requirements for completing the TPA and the qualifications that district employed supervisors need to meet. In addition, Cal Poly has created videos that all district employed supervisors watch each year prior to working with a candidate so that they understand why they were selected to be that district employed supervisor and understand their role in supporting the candidate and any new requirements the candidate may need to meet. So this provides more clarity for every person, each person involved in the program. This information is also included in the clinical practice handbook. So for reference, just in case they need to go back and look at that. The last stipulations were actually related to individual programs offered at the institution. So stipulation 7 and 8 were in reference to the adapted physical education program and were specific to a candidate's opportunity to experience interactions with a full range of service delivery options, transition planning, and hands-on experience in aquatics. So to ensure that candidates experience the interactions with the full range of service delivery options, a better tracking system was implemented so that each candidate would have access to hands-on experiences in aquatics and the development of individual transition plans. That coursework was moved from the summer session to the spring semester. So these adjustments ensure that all candidates get access to these competencies related to the adapted physical education program. So that was solved. For stipulation 9, at the time of the site visit, the coordinator of the bilingual education program, there was only one at that time, and that person was on sabbatical. And although there was another individual serving as backup, it wasn't clearly articulated, so that information wasn't widely known to candidates, basically. So it was it caused a little bit of confusion. Well, with these new hires, there two of the additional faculty members that were the new hires are now multiple subject folks, and they also have experience in supporting bilingual candidates. So now there are 3 people in kind of with the capacity to support all their bilingual candidates. And they've implemented a new system for referring and supporting these candidates. So there won't be this problem in the future because there's like this capacity building here. So overall, Cal Poly Pomona has really been diligent in their response to the stipulations. Staff is recommending removal of all the stipulations, and that the COA change their accreditation status from accreditation with stipulations to accreditation. As you can tell, we have several representatives here with us virtually today, including the president and the provost. This kind of speaks to the transformation and the vision of this educator preparation program and the support that this institution has for that School of Education there. And I will let Dean Pitt Parker, I know actually, Dr. Farley, that you'll probably let the institution know that they don't need to rebut any of the findings or anything, and to keep their comments brief. But after you do that, I'll let Dean Pitt Parker let us know who would like to say something. So.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Columbini. Yes, so this is an opportunity for institutional representative to make any comment you wish to, not to necessarily dispute the findings, but to just offer comments about the report and presentation itself. And it's nice to have all 5 of you with us. I don't recall having been involved with the committee in all these years of having both the president and the provost with us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Well, let me just start and also thank you and the team. And I do know that you're aware that we have been in transition, and we are just thrilled to have Dr. Pitt Parker come. And a lot of times we appreciate providing new administrators with an opportunity to ease into their role. Well, we decided that Dr. Pitt Parker would hit the ground running, and she has just been extraordinary in the work that she has done. And I think because of the experience that she brought from another CSU, and also recognizing that the college itself was doing, I think, an extraordinary job under the circumstances of post-pandemic and the challenges that have been taking place across higher education in general. One of the things that I am especially pleased about is the Future of Education Committee engaging the stakeholders. Just last week, I hosted a meeting with the LA County superintendent of schools, as well as the area superintendent of schools, because I think, as you are aware, there is a lot of challenges going on, even in terms of not only people going into the profession, but also just what's happening with the young people in the schools. And I think the kinds of plans that Dr. Pitt Parker and the faculty have put into place, including the individualized transition plans and being much more focused on the students' engagement and process is important. So I really appreciate and thank you for the attention and the time that is paid. And I'll ask the provost to make a few comments.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I do want to acknowledge the leadership of Dean Pitt Parker. She's been extraordinary in just a short 6 months, but she clearly had a lot of stipulations to address and had great support in the college to do so. She's deeply committed to both external and internal stakeholders, and is ensuring that the university is also doing our part in terms of being held accountable to redirect resources. So I appreciate her partnership and her vision.
Thank you both. Any other member of the institution wish to offer any comment?
Yes, thank you.
Uh,
Am I coming through okay in the volume? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much and good morning again, everyone. Excuse me, first I'd like to thank you, Sarah, for your support throughout this process. You really have been an invaluable partner. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the commission for its feedback and the opportunity to engage in the accreditation process. We don't take that lightly. And what it really did was invite us into a space of, critical reflection around our strengths, as well as areas for growth and development related to how we were intentionally designing student experiences. It really allowed us to think about where we were, where we are, and where we want to go relative to the future and all of the possibilities surrounding high quality teacher education and educator preparation programs, all of this rooted in the spirit of continuous improvement. I would be remiss if I didn't also thank and appreciate every single member of the all accreditation team on campus. This included staff, faculty, deans from within the college, as well as across campus where credential programs are housed. Us being here today would not have been possible without their energy, expertise, and contributions that everyone is bringing to the table. And again, I'm so grateful for our university leaders for their ongoing support and commitment. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other member wish to offer any comment from the institution? Well, the fact that we have such a robust turnout for the meeting here really speaks to your interest and your support of the program. And you just mentioned that, Dr. Pitt Parker, regarding the support of everyone in the institution. It takes a village. It's a big undertaking, and we appreciate all your representation here. Any committee member have any questions or comments? Member Hillis, then to Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, just a quick question. I was intrigued by your future of education committee, and I'm curious if you could just speak a little bit about maybe what the charge of that committee is, and possibly some of the early discussions that might be happening within that committee.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We've kind of repurposed the all accreditation team. In the past, we were focused on addressing stipulations, obviously a really important piece of this. Moving forward, we've already had a meeting to have faculty, staff, stakeholders across the different programs, because we operate across multiple colleges, identify passion points and identify obstacles. So we really are trying to re-envision kind of where we want to head and how we can collectively work together. The plan is to fully launch this committee next year. We kind of have an interim space with the accreditation cycle. So we want to involve all of our stakeholders in the process of kind of re-envisioning and seeing, how we want to best move forward.
Thank you. Any other committee member have any comment or question? Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. And I just wanted to commend you on what to me was a really comprehensive update. I thought all the links were really helpful and varied, not least those that included email correspondence that illustrates the work involved in getting everybody kind of on the same page in an institution as complex as yours. So yeah, I really appreciate the obvious time and effort and attention to detail that went into that. And I think that report itself kind of exemplifies the goal of cohesion that you've achieved. So thank you for doing all that.
Thank you, Co-Chair Tchaikovsky. Any other member have any comment you wish to offer or question? By seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
I move that we remove the stipulations from Cal Poly Pomona.
And to move from?
To full accreditation.
All right, thank you. And there's your second. Second by Member Crecia. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Sorry. Motion carries. So congratulations. And it's nice to see that again, your attention to the details, and you were definitely back on track. I know you had a bumpy time there, but it seems you really have everything together. Really appreciate it. So thank you so much for your efforts. Look forward to great success for the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you. Okay, we are a bit early. How about we take a 10-minute break? Does that work?
Sorry, I shouldn't speak. We can't tell if any of the other institutions are ready this early. So I think maybe a break is the best thing.
Okay, so we'll take 5, but be back in 10, knowing how that works around here. I see you. Party later, work now. We're moving on to item 12. Item 12 is a discussion of the second quarterly report for Monterey County Office of Education. Consultants Dr. Sarah Solari Colombini and Steph Morgado will introduce the item. And joining them today are institutional representatives Dr. Janine Gus, Superintendent, Dr. Karen Lewis, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Marmalina Milazzo, Director of Leadership and School Systems, and Claudia Morales, Education Administrator. Any member wish to or need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Dr. Colombini, will you please begin?
Sure, thank you. So this is the second quarterly report for the Monterey County Office of Education. Before I begin, I have to make a couple of corrections. So first, one of the staff recommendations will need to be to remove the first stipulation. So Monterey County Office of Education did provide the evidence that the individual learning plan used in their teacher induction program is not used for evaluative purposes. So that stipulation can be removed. That's not as an action item in there, but we do need to take action, or the COA needs to take action on that to remove that item because they have provided that evidence. That was stipulation 1. Second, in the report on page 7, the section that references item 6 identifies that the focus groups only included participants, advisors, and coaches. And I interpreted this not to include employers or partners. Well, on page 3 of the evidence, it was a link to the focus group report. It shows that actually on January 16th and January 23rd, 2 of the focus groups that average the 6 people per focus group were composed of both advisors and employers. So employers were included in that focus group thing. So I was wrong in that report. So I want to make sure you understand that the employers were included. So make sure that you have that information. So I wanted to rectify that. Okay, so now this is the second quarterly report. At the January 24 COA meeting, you had asked for specific pieces of evidence from Monterey County Office of Ed to provide some specific pieces of evidence. And there were only a few short weeks between that last meeting and this one for their staff to get that information, gather it, and get it to us. And of course, they have to get it to us before this meeting so that we can kind of review it. And it took us a while to review it. And so what you see in this report reflects what is, and this is the other thing. So what you see in the report is what is currently happening in the program. So Monterey County Office of Education is in the process of pulling together focus groups, right? We heard that from them. Surveying candidates, surveying their advisors and their mentors, and making changes. We saw some templates of things they're changing, but they're currently serving candidates as well, and they're not changing their program midstream to confuse their candidates, right? So the evidence when you asked for date and timestamped ILPs and IIPs, you're seeing these IIPs and ILPs in progress. So you're seeing IIPs and ILPs that were in existence at the October site visit, right? Because they reflect what's happening with candidates right now. they're not reflective of what Monterey plans to use. And I think Monterey probably will be able to speak to this better than I can because it's their program. And so, and I'll give them that opportunity. So as Steph and I look at the evidence of ILPs, date and time stamped ILPs that they send to us, we're looking at ILPs that don't align to the CSTPs, right? Because that's the stuff that was shared in October, right? So it's that's consistent with what was going on. So it's kind of hard to make an assessment about what will be, because it's not right now. I think that's fair enough to say. So that's kind of what you see. Know that in October, right? October's the revisit, right? October, and in October, the new system, the new forms would be in play. We're anticipating, right? And so that's when the assessment of the new forms would be expected to align to the standards. So an additional piece of information that Monterey will probably be able to share better with you is that the date and time stamp piece of, you want to date and time stamp things, they use a Canvas infrastructure, which I'm not as familiar with, but it doesn't, there's a limitation around dates and time stamps, I guess. And so, and then two, their meetings are held via Zoom, and Zoom, there are not sign-in sheets, I guess, via Zoom. So, so those are some of the limitations. But I'm going to let Monterey County Office representatives answer any questions that you may have about any of the evidence that you saw on the stipulations table. You know, they provide the narrative, and then they provide the stipulations table. And they will, commission staff has provided a more prescriptive next steps so that maybe it'll be more helpful. It will be the last quarterly report in June. It will be shared in June at the COA meeting, and then there'll be the revisit in October. So, and they'll have a larger chunk of time between June and then that October revisit to get everything prepared for that revisit. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Frelly to take this over. And if you guys have questions for Monterey County, you can ask those questions based on the evidence and the stipulations table.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Colombini. So it's opportunity now for institutional representatives. Offer any comment you wish to be regarding how you're addressing the stipulations.
Great. Thank you so much. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you again. We appreciate that. It's a gorgeous day outside, and so we were enjoying that as we were coming in. And we genuinely want to be able to share with you a lot of the work that's been taking place. Of course, the items that you requested and directly related to the stipulations, but there's an intensive amount of work that's happening on the ground that sometimes isn't reflected in these processes. And so we hope to have an opportunity to also just slip in a little bit of that. We know we only have 6 minutes, and so we're going to do our best to be able to provide you with that. I want to take a moment to introduce our new program director, Marilena Malazzo. Marilena officially started taking on this role in December, and we purposefully created that more like a transitional time so that we could create a really warm space for our participants and candidates and coaches, make sure that they felt very comfortable in that transition. And so we really took that month of December to kind of go back and forth and really integrate her into the program, let her get caught up to speed, get training, get familiarized with the systems, things like that. And then she officially started in her new role in the first week of January. So we're very excited to have her with us. She was with us at the last meeting, but she was in the virtual space. She was actually in Qatar at the time. She is studying educator preparedness programs globally through USC. And so she was here. I just wanted to make sure that you did know that, but she just wasn't able to be in person. So we're excited to have her leading our induction team, and we're really proud of some of the systems level work that she's bringing into play. She was one of our leads for continuous improvement at the Monterey County Office of Education and has been a systems lead even across the state related to some of this work. So she's brought some exciting new elements, and I know she'll be able to share those today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her, and she's going to review just some of the items that were requested from the commission and some of the other great work that's taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Thank you to all of you. I'm honored to be here and share some of the great work that's taking place over the last couple of months at MCOE. And with our limited time, I want to just address some of the most critical elements of our work in progress at our induction programs. So as part of this transition, we really needed to listen carefully and understand where our partners have been so that we can understand where we're going and gather some of that data and that evidence as part of that continuous improvement. So I've been researching and looking back at some of the things that we've done to lead us up to this point. And I've learned that our Educated Emeritus Advisory Committee had spent some time examining, discussing, updating some research-based approach to induction programs in their forms previously. So there was a strong connection to individualized learning models and coaching and mentoring support systems that come together as a connection of knowledge and skills that they learn in their preliminary coursework through the university. So the focus was on theory to practice. And then iterations of the documents, the IIPs and the ILPs came along, and we included some learning management systems, which, as you heard, have provided us some interesting challenges along the way in pulling documentation that we've needed. And so with the intent of improved accessibility at the time, participants were also able to submit in different formats. And so they are in different systems, in different formats, from everything to JPEGs to PDFs, which can be quite a challenge. And so that is something that we're working on right away to negotiate and to fix with our infrastructure and with our own IT department within MCOE. We also know that deep and sustainable change takes time, and we anticipate that many iterations of documents and of other systems are going to be happening in preparation for the new year. So part of that listening has been conducting empathy interviews in the form of one-on-one chats. So we've been doing a lot of those. I've been doing a lot of those with participants, with our coaches, our program advisors, our employers, our higher ed partners, all of our community partner groups. And this approach is really centered in the collaborative work taking place in our EPAC team and throughout. It's spread throughout the program. So on your stipulations table, you will see agendas and notes from our January session. Our team most recently met on March 7th, and that time was also very productive. For example, we worked on our TPE to CSTP crosswalk documents to help with that transition from university to CSTPs. And our subcommittee is continuing that design process and iteration. We're really excited about that work that we're doing with our partners for that transition process. We're also working on that with our CASC. And then there's focus groups in the mid-year survey data, which you knew was coming. We talked about that during our last meeting. They were conducted during the month of January. It included a diverse representation of our constituent groups, including our participants, our coaches, school and district representatives, and from all geographic regions across Monterey County. And for confidentiality and objectivity, those sessions were conducted by an experienced independent evaluator. We really wanted some critical feedback to help us really inform our practices moving forward. So our survey respondents shared insightful comments related to program experiences, and we were really excited to see their thoughtful ideas. You have a copy attached to your stipulations table, and I hope you'll have a chance to see the comprehensive nature of the report. We will continue these formative measures as well. And we really needed this mixed method analysis and programmatic session feedback in order to inform our continuous improvement process. We certainly can't help fulfill the needs of our community without really understanding what the community needs. So working with our partners, including all of our constituents, we're evolving our theory of improvement, working on a driver diagram and really moving forward with change ideas that are going to be significant impact.
We're only in the initial stages of refining the individual learning plans, the IIPs. Some initial revisions have taken place, and we understand that that work will evolve over time over the next few months as we collaborate and we calibrate with our coaches, with our participants. So we're thoughtfully considering the right timing, Sarah mentioned that, for the rollout to ensure capacity for our education partners and for that smooth transition. Oh yes. We did a couple of videos. I'm hoping you got a chance to see those as well. You wanted the voice of our participants and our candidates. I think it's a nice sample in that we created these videos to help support the understanding of the IIP and the ILP process and to help our participants move towards their colloquiums. And we're really proud of the work that they've done. The colloquiums are a reflection of that full experience in the induction program, reflecting on their journey. The program begins with the triad meeting with the coach, the employer, and the participant. They rate themselves on the CSTP and the capsule standards, depending on the program, reach the goals with their coach, run inquiry cycles, collect evidence from those cycles, make decisions, and then they reiterate. They choose from professional learning options that match their goals and reflect through the process. And then colloquium is going to allow them to share those artifacts, reflect on their progress, and then celebrate that success with their district representatives and their collegial peers. So I'm in the process of working with the program advisors of the employers to finalize the details of their colloquium preparations and create accessibility for even our most rural districts. So thank you for letting me share today. I want to honor your time. 6 minutes only allows us a few minutes to share some handful of highlights, but please know that we're working extensively on many facets of the program. And really, we're working hard to bring along all of our constituents so that everybody is involved in that process. So as we move forward for the new year, everyone's had their stamp on it. We've been able to listen to every person. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have. And I look forward to continuing the improvement journey.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Milazzo, and also Dr. Lewis. Now an opportunity for public comment. Any member of the public wish to offer any comment?
Jessica Riley, can you please unmute and speak?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jessica Riley, and I am an administrator in Monterey County. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. In Monterey County, I have served as a special educator, a superintendent, principal, and a coordinator of curriculum and instruction. I am here today to share my experience participating in the MCOE induction program. MCOE induction developed me into the leader that I am today. I am a person who in my small rural community took a voice that was unheard and magnified it to the county. We promote 100% of our unduplicated pupils onto high school graduation, college, careers, and most importantly, community advocacy. I do this because MCOE induction immersed me in a leadership approach that involved all of the California professional standards for educational leaders, and it taught me more than any other organization has ever taught me about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm a third-generation educator, but I'm also the first generation born in the US in my mom's side of the family. And when I was younger, I didn't have words for the experiences I was going through. MCOE induction introduced me to Dr. Robin DiAngelo, Dr. Adolph Brown, and our own Dr. Roberto Nunez. And they equipped me with language and with research. And it changed my entire outlook on DEI and life. I now analyze all approaches in school leadership from the lens of, does it actually lift every child, to have the same outcomes as any other? And every school leader needs to do this, with whether it is employment practices, pedagogy, access to resource or facility management, or any other aspect of school district leadership. We must honor perspective and life experience as they present throughout California's very diverse community. MCOE induction taught me this. My induction plan helped me engage families. My mentor was exceptional, and my lessons were thought-provoking in every one of my sessions. I would not be the school leader I am today without MCOE induction, and I am very grateful for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other member of the public wish to offer any comment?
Yes, I have the list of names so that the recording secretary doesn't have to keep coming to the table. So the next name that we have is Jesus Godoy. If you would unmute yourself, please, and make your comment.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
So my name is Jesus Groy. I'm actually a special education teacher here in MCOE. Brand new teacher. I actually just got I completed my induction this past May or June. What I want to say is I want to show my appreciation to MCOE. So I want to say thank you publicly to everybody who helped me in MCOE. But to show my support, I do want to say that once I decided to become a teacher, especially a special education teacher, I was very scared to undertake a role where basically I had to help a lot of kids in the community and families who don't understand exactly what it is to help students with learning disabilities. For me, my actual credential program through the university program that I picked show me research and show me what it is to have a learning disability, but it was not, but it was MCOE, the induction program, that really showed me the to connect what I learned from my program, to connect that to the community, to the students. So I do want to say that this program really did help me to answer those questions, to get me ready, to not make me scared to help my students. It was like Dr. Roberto Nunez and Claudia Morales who always there along the way with me, with my induction coaches and everything to help me get those answers that I was looking for as a brand new teacher. Now that I have a clear credential and big things is part to them, I now am ready to be the coach to my new inductees that I'm helping now. But I do want to say that this program, it's really important, especially for a community that we're serving. My district has a lot of Title I schools. So for me, this induction program, it's what I needed to be successful as a brand new teacher. So now that I have that under my belt, I'm getting ready to move into to become a school administrator this coming new school year. So I will be happy to do my induction once more again for my administrator. But like I said, overall, I am happy that I work for the school district that I work for, but I'm more happy that MCOE did offer this induction program that really supported me as a new teacher. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate the comments.
Next, we have Steve McDougall. If you would unmute yourself and make your comment.
Good morning, committee. Steve McDougall with CFT, a union of educators and classified professionals. I apologize for not being there, but you should thank me because I have a horrible head coach, so I'm sparing you of that, catching that today. It's nice to hear that previous folks that have attended and moved on successfully from both the administrator and teacher programs at MCOE from years gone by have had success. But in recent times, as you know, it's lost its way. Now, in December or November, December, MCOE decided to do a leadership change regarding this program, which was clearly needed, if you recall, from that presentation, whenever that was, in October, I think. And they have been doing the work over the holidays, over breaks, getting the work done. They're not done. They're on that journey, as they've said already. We'll see how it looks in June and, of course, in October. I'm happy that a sea change is made in leadership of the program because clearly it lost its way, and now it's on a path or a journey to getting where it ought to be. Thank you for your attention to this. Thank you for your work, committee. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. McDougall.
Next, we have Allison Gribben. Allison, please unmute yourself and share your comment.
Hi, hello, and good morning. My name is Allison Gribben, and I am the Director of Special Services for a school district in Monterey County. I'm reaching out today in support of the MCOE induction program, and I apologize if there's some background noise. I just stepped out of some classroom walkthroughs to be with you. So while I've worked with MCOE through a variety of different programs, from being a teacher to a program specialist with the Monterey County SELPA, and now as an administrator in a school district, I did graduate from the administrator induction program. This past October, I had an opportunity to participate in a group interview regarding my program experience, and I wanted to share just some additional thoughts and ideas about my experiences with you today. First, I'd like to touch upon the high quality coaching that I received through the administrator induction program. My coach was extremely important to my success and provided me with valuable guidance throughout the induction program. Her educational leadership experience was exactly what I needed to feel supported and help me grow in my new leadership role. She helped me navigate some difficult situations and align my actions with my goals, priorities, and values as an educational leader. As a new administrator, having a coach to support me and knowing that there was someone I could reach out to at any time for advice and encouragement really helped me tremendously in the role of a special services director. Another aspect that I really found powerful was the way that the program set us candidates up to utilize a reflective practice through our job embedded work. And this was mainly done through our IIP. The reflection and improvement process allowed me the opportunity to put some of the IIP goals into action right away. For example, I was able to engage stakeholders in using problem solving and decision-making processes and utilize distributed leadership to develop, monitor, evaluate, and revise a few of the plans and programs through which I was now in charge of implementing. This process allowed me to be introduced and maintain a new structure within our department meetings that to this day, 3 years later, have been very successful. And we've been able to replicate that process throughout programs and departments in our district. The final highlight of the program I want to address were the professional learning seminars. Each one of the seminars made me feel like the program was set up for me, because as I transitioned into this new role, these professional learning opportunities addressed the importance of focusing my work through a leadership mindset. I really appreciated the opportunity to learn and grow on how to manage budgets. I'm sure you all know in special education, there are many of them, and to be able to have some of the difficult conversations that need to occur with staff and families in a thoughtful and productive way. The program really helped me refine my skills, and I was able to put those into place immediately working with the teams in my district. One of the examples I'll just give is in my district, I was assigned to oversee the comprehensive coordinated early intervening services plan, which is related to significant disproportionality. I was able to kind of take the template of how this plan and process from the CDE and use what I was learning in my program to kind of align the work to develop those plans. And if any of you have ever read through those plans, they are very challenging to kind of work through and include many of the aspects that were part of the induction program. So overall, the quality of my learning experience is something that I will continue to build on and grow from with my current colleagues and across the county. I'm really thankful for the induction and the IIP experience, and it's definitely made me a better educator, leader, and created some meaningful impact on where I work in my learning community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbon.
All right, next we have Buck Rogaman. Mr. Rogaman, will you unmute yourself and share your comment?
Well, I'll tell the attendant that you need to go, but if they ask for you, I'll tell them that you. I don't want.
Mr. Rogaman?
Good morning, members of the COA. As the Director of Curriculum and Special Projects for the Pacific Grove Unified School District, I've had the opportunity to work with the Monterey County Office of Education teacher and administrator induction programs over the years, and I'd like to take a moment just to read a letter of gratitude that I sent to Dr. Gus recently to express my appreciation for the team and the program that she has put together at MCOE. I'd like to offer my sincere gratitude to MCOE for the service and support we received over the years and share my experiences with the MCOE induction programs that have helped to make a real impact in our peninsula area programs. As you know, all of our districts have unique needs. As Director of Curriculum in the Pacific Grove Unified School District, we often struggle in recruiting and retaining highly qualified teachers and administrators because of the higher cost of living in our region. Despite this fact, your team has consistently provided extraordinary service and personalized support and have been instrumental in removing many of the barriers facing our new and aspiring teachers and administrators. Our teachers and new administrators who have completed the MCOE induction programs have shared extremely positive comments about the quality of the programs and the built-in flexibility provided by the MCOE staff. Our teachers in particular face ongoing challenges and often feel like their needs are not considered with other professional development programs. With MCOE, we have received customized support to fit the needs of our staff and learning community. The MCOE team shows up to personally support our teachers and new administrators, bringing resources and encouragement. One of my teachers shared that on a particularly difficult day, she received an unexpected happy bag from the induction team that turned her day around. In the past year, the support from the induction staff and the program coach has been incredibly valuable. We have some urgent needs in our secondary grades, and the professional learning coaching support has helped our newest teachers and administrators. The secondary years are a challenging time for kids, and our teachers are learning specific strategies to support the SEL needs of students while building comprehensive intervention supports through MTSS. The combination of virtual and in-person support from the MCOE team and the coach has been a lifesaver for our team. And I truly thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rogaman.
Okay, and finally, we have Will Frenzel. Mr. Frenzel, will you unmute yourself and make your comment?
Yes, good morning, members of the COA. Good morning. My name is William Frenzel. I'm the principal here in the Alisal Union School District of Monterey County. I was a candidate in the administrative induction program, and now as a principal, I am proud to have a participating teacher in the teacher induction program. I participated in the admin induction program after teaching in the classroom for 16 years and being an instructional coach for 2 years. My admin induction coach provided support during my first 2 years as a new administrator. I'm now finishing year 7 in my current role as a site administrator. My coach and I met each month during admin induction, and these meetings were always high-quality experiences that helped me gain perspective and understand my roles and responsibility as a new administrator. The capsules were the drivers of these experiences, and my inquiries were focused on my job. It was personalized and individualized for my job as an administrator. The training at the MCOE AIP program prepared me to be the educational leader I am today. I'm currently the instructional leader at both a brick and mortar school and a virtual academy. Our students' academic, socio-emotional, and attendance data is strong and it's improving each day. And we have a wonderful team of teachers and classified staff with very little turnover. We currently have a teacher on our team in the teacher induction program. And she recently shared with me that this program is personalized for her position and her needs and hopes for teaching. So I'm confident we have a high quality teacher on our staff, thanks to MCOE and this induction program. And coming out of this experience, we'll be able to retain our staff, especially our new teachers. Thank you all. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Frenzel. That closes the public comment time. It's now an opportunity for the questions or comments of any committee members. Member Morrison.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. I'd like to thank the people who took the time to give us their updates online. In particular, I think it's Mr. McDougall, the union leader. And I single him out because I remember him distinctly from the original report and the fact that he took the time to come here and tell us what a terrible state he thought your program was in. So for him to come and tell us that he thinks differently now carries a lot of weight. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Morrison. Any other member wish to have a comment? Member McKee and then Member Hallis.
Good morning, and I want to twofold thank the commission staff for putting all the documentation to the narrative. I thought that was very helpful just for the read through, and also to Monterey County for the stipulation table, made it a lot easier to cross-reference. The voices of everybody that spoke today really speaks volumes that there is supports being provided. There are teachers and administrators who are being supported in the field. And I want to make sure we acknowledge that. I think the part of the accreditation process is just connecting to the standards, connecting to the evidence. No one's ever said that hard work isn't being done out there. Hard work is being done out there. It's that alignment piece. And I think that it's great to hear the impact that your program is making in the field. And it's hard to turn a ship midstream. And you said something earlier, I wrote it down, is that you took the time not to impact the candidates while you're making changes within the program. And I think that speaks volumes because it's not the candidate's experience, right? It's the program's experience. So what I'm looking forward to maybe at the next, in May, is maybe the draft of what maybe the new IIP is going to look like for 24-25. What is a draft of the new ILP going to look like for 24-25? Because I don't want it to be discounted that you're taking the time to make those shifts for the new year. And a little side tip for evidence pieces with virtual meetings, sometimes it's just printing out the chat. Everyone puts their name in the chat for attendance. And here's the virtual meeting we had, and here's the chat of everyone that was there. Sometimes those little things can kind of help along the way because there's going to be a site visit in October. And so these are things you might want to consider like having prepared, but I want to the hard work, especially being a new coordinator in the program, coming in and the changes that are in the works look promising. So thank you.
Thank you, Member McKee. Member Hallis.
Yeah, I want to echo similar comments from the other members here. Thank you to the public for making your voice heard. And thank you. I'm excited to see all the changes that are going to be coming in the program. You're obviously working very hard to iterate and take all the voices into account. I guess my question's about the current experience, though, because I'm guessing you're going to have a lot of candidates you're going to be applying for their credentials this May and June. And they have been through the current program, right, which we have seen has not been updated, or the report said was not updated to the 2016 program standards. We heard it was hard even finding current evidence now to provide to the CTC because it's kind of all over the place. So can you talk about what your system's going to be this year, this spring, before reviewing those candidates to make sure they've met all the competencies of the current standards to earn the credential that they're working so hard for?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. We're in the process right now of really collaborating and getting together with our coaches. Our coaches are doing kind of an amazing job right now on the field. And so I've been really bringing them in and having some meetings and aligning those practices, going back and really looking back at our rubrics and our capsule rubrics. We have a capsule and a CSTP that we do with our participants that show their progress on the CSTPs and the capsules over time. And so we're going back to that and then making sure that we really do some deeper reflection on that. as they're closing. I've revamped their checklist, and so that's actually what we're doing next week is going back through the checklist and looking at how we're documenting that closure process. And then we're going back and they're actually going to help me with the documentation to make sure that we have everything that we need before our candidates and our participants exit from the programs. There's actually quite a lot of work being done. I know that Dr. Colombini, when she was going through them, said, like, gosh, so some of these were huge. And they were, when I was combining the evidence together just on some of the ILPs, they were 80, 90 pages long. Now, one of the things that we're working on also in our refinement is in streamlining those systems and really making sure that we hit the rigor, but that it's not so, paperwork heavy, right? And that our LMS system is taken care of so that we can easily access those documents. But your question is really great, guys. As we exit, we're going to be making sure, and I'm going to be bringing in everybody to do that, along with my participants and candidates, to make sure that they really hit all those standards. They've hit all 6 and they're really ready to move forward. I want them to go to their colloquiums and be really proud of the artifacts they're showing. And when they give that presentation to their districts and their employers and their colleagues, I want them to be really proud of the progress they've done. They have done a lot of hard work. We just really need to do a better job of documenting it and showing it.
Right. I'd like to speak just for a minute to that as well, if that's okay. I loved what Marlena was talking about earlier, because I do think that she's done a really good job of investigating, right? Researching, like trying to find out what's happening and really digging in. And when she really did that and went out and talked with people who had participated on our previous EPAC, like pre-pandemic, and people who had previously led programs or been coaches in the program even many years ago, that transition to the new standards did take place. And I know we had shared that when we were with you last time. What we have found is very interesting is there are elements of both of them in there. So we see elements of both of those things. We see that shift toward like the personalization and the individualization and the inquiry and things like that. And we also still see some of the elements that we know for sure were included in the previous forms. We can pull them and look at them too. Some of those, what we found out from a couple of the team members who had been on our previous EPAC, that they felt that those elements were still valuable. I want to comment on one in particular, just because there's tons of examples of it, but this one in particular really stood out to me is they were sharing that they felt like they needed to continue with the context of the learning community. That had been something that they had started with, that had been one of the things that they would start out with, in their previous journey, and it was on the form. And when the team had discussed it, they had determined that in order to get to that really deep level of inquiry-based learning that they were hoping that our educators would get to, that they couldn't really do that without having an understanding of their community, without knowing the students they serve, without understanding the context of their community, whether it was rural or whether it was a large urban community. Do you have a lot of, high parent activity? Is there a large percentage of students who are experiencing homelessness within this community? Like, what's really happening? And then looking at the data so that they would know as they went to set out on their journey, then you can really make that decision to be self-driven, right? To really guide your own progress and your practice. But they felt like that was important. And so that is still reflected in our forms. That's something we're still talking about with our current EPAC, because we don't want it to look like our forms aren't in alignment. So I know Marlena talked about the alignment is so important, and thank you for the comment related to the alignment, because we are deep in those discussions right now of how do we really honor the voices that are coming from our community and who really are contributing to helping us build this, and how do we really make sure that we're demonstrating very clearly that these documents are aligned to the new standards. So we're working on hitting the mark on both of those. Stay tuned.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And if I could just encourage you to include, since you're working now on the processes and documentation for this current group to be recommended, if we could see that in the next report, that would be great.
Yeah. Thank you, Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yes, following up on Member Hellis's comments, I'm looking at page 4 of the second quarterly report. And I was looking forward to seeing specific artifacts that I didn't see. I looked at the 2 columns on the stipulations chart, and did not see any of those items. I didn't see any time-stamped ILPs. I saw what looked like a log of someone's activity. But again, to Member Hallis's point, I need to know that the people who are coming out of your program are meeting expectations that are clearly aligned with what the state of California has outlined for induction, whether it's for teachers or for administrators. As my colleague has requested, again, I would like to see artifacts from this year time-stamped within the 23-24 school year. I just want to see how your candidates are generating this evidence. They might be long. I don't need to see the whole thing because an ILP can be a one-page document. I just want to see what it looks like. So again, I'm politely requesting to actually see what your people are generating this year. And I might suggest that what we need to sign off on here as a COA is that programs that are authorized to clear credentials are aligned with the current standards. And I might just observe that flexibility and adaptability is a prerequisite in education. Yes, change takes time. Classroom teachers have to do this on a daily basis. Classroom teachers have to respond when they find out what's going on with students within a matter of seconds. So I might just maybe introduce a little bit of urgency into this conversation because we are talking about timely recognition of candidate evidence. And that's what I would like to see in May. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment or questions from COA members? Member McKee.
I think kind of probably the general struggle that we may have is that we appreciate the year we're in, but we also look back 2 years, right? So like there's this conundrum, like we have current candidates in the program and they're finishing that they're being authorized that they follow the standards, which we know are not in place. And requests have been made when I read the report since like March 2022 to have things in place. So I appreciate that it's only been January and now we're in March, but now we're going to be in May. But I remember someone from our last January report, some program said, you know, when they got information from the COA, people kept asking, why is there a fire in the building? There's a fire. I think that's kind of what our members want to see, like that actionable piece, like what's being moved forward and where are all these dots kind of filled in so we can honor the great things that are being done. I want to emphasize there are great things being done, but it kind of has to be demonstrated on everything that we're seeing. So there's no wonderings and no questions. Just like, let us see those pieces in place. And if they're not in place, let us see what the 2024-2025 plan is that fixes those pieces. And then I think you're going to be in a good spot. But it's just helping us have that clarity. Does that sound fair or?
It sounds absolutely fair, and I appreciate the comments related to the hard work that our teachers do and what circumstances they do them in. And that urgency is there. I can assure you. The actual term that we were using last month was everything's on fire. So there was a little humor there, so I appreciate that. I do want to share that we did turn in those IIPs and ILP documents, and that's part of what was included in the report. And I know that Dr. Colombini did share that for confidentiality purposes. The staff had reviewed them because they would have been posted in a public forum. And I know that Marlena did bring one today, and if you would like to look at it, we just have the two videos. You know, the two candidates who did post the videos, those were the two candidates who had originally said they don't mind sharing their IIP and ILP journey. And so we had those from them, but all of the ones that we had pulled, and we are able to pull that from the systems. It's just extensive. It takes a lot of time. It's like going piece by piece in multiple different platforms and then kind of compiling them and putting them together. So that was really where the work, was underway in terms of putting those. Originally, the commission had requested 5 to 6 IIPs and 5 to 6 ILPs, but we had there was an additional request for more to make sure that they were from each year, representative from each year. And so then we were able to provide more. And I think there was a total of 15 for each. Is that correct, Dr.?
Right. We asked for 5 from current year candidates, 5 from year two, if you will, candidates, and five from completers for each program, teacher induction and CASC. And as Karin said, for confidentiality purposes, we didn't post them online. That's great that you have the binder. You can pass it around so that actually they can see the ILP, the completed and partially completed for those that are year one forms. And so Steph and I looked through, and then we even had Karen Sacramento, our induction expert, and Gay Roby, our CASC expert, look through those to determine alignment to the standards. And that's kind of the comment that I made, that they're not aligned to the standards because they're reflective of what was in October. And so, but what I think I'm hearing, and I want to just do this for clarification purposes, is that the COA does not yet see clear evidence from the institution that things are being met or rectified. Is that accurate? I just want to make sure I'm capturing this. The COA is not seeing the evidence.
It does seem to be that way. So what we want clarification from members of the COA is, what specific evidence would you like to see that would help provide guidance? Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're
I think we have some general comments that have been made. I think some specific as well, but if we can narrow that down and put it in some kind of a cohesive format that we can actually present to MCOE, that would definitely help them in their work moving forward. Member McKee, looks like you have something.
So if you're making the list, I think it's the evidence. What I heard from different members is the evidence of current practice, that if we're recommending credentials this year, that they're held to the current standards. And what would that look like if we think about that defensible review process that's in the standards? What's that defensible review process to ensure the meeting of standards for CASC and teacher induction, but also looking at what are the templates for the new year. And I would go so far as to say is if there are any meetings from now until May that we see evidence of those sign-in sheets or the chat or whatever method, like there should be something from this moment on that's in place. I would have thought that that may have been in place from the January meeting on, but let's make sure it's from March on till May. That would be what I've heard so far.
Okay.
Can I ask for clarification quickly? Again, I just want us to be very clear for the institution as well. So in ensuring that candidates that will be recommended at the end of this spring, some kind of a rubric or an updated ILP, IIP, or something that reflects what the standards currently are, that is how they are measuring the candidates before they're recommending them. So okay, I see nodding. Great.
Okay.
And can I add a plan if there are gaps?
Sure.
How those would get filled?
Dr. Calavini, is that
That is, and I just want to make one more thing clear. They are not actually coming until the June COA meeting. I know everyone's been saying May. I've heard May quite a few times. I just want to make sure that they're coming to the June COA meeting. It's the beginning of June, but it's the June COA meeting. So just in everyone's mind, it's June, not May. So the institution knows too that it's June. Yeah.
Sure, please.
Some of the recommendations that we're making, we just want to make sure is understood that these should be implemented. So not just for our purposes now, but something that will be embedded within the program. So these recommendations of making sure the chat is kept, or whatever process you like to use. For me, I used to use Google Forms. That worked really well for me. The Google Forms keeps an accurate record on an Excel sheet that could be PDFs and filed away very easily. And that's how a lot of members' information was kept. But, just knowing that rubric is always very good to align with standards, should be substantial throughout programs. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Sullivan.
So given that they're not coming back until June, I just want to, I guess, get a nod of approval or remind that because by June, candidates are going to be wrapping up. So that means that staff is going to be sort of really responsible for ensuring that these things are in place. By June, we should be able to say, we got these things, in April or May, we checked them, these things are in place, because if there's a problem by June, it will be too late. So staff is going to have to be, we're going to have to be responsible really for sort of, we'll still need to bring it to you for approval, but I think the action can't wait until June in terms of what we need to see from the institution. So I just want to be clear about that.
So the direction of the COA would be to staff to ensure that these are implemented prior to June. Yeah. But what, Dr. Columbine?
Yeah. So certainly, I want to make sure I want to repeat what I've heard so that we all have clarity around that. Because I want to capture what has happened from October to now so that the institution can clarify if I have it wrong. Certainly, because they're here to correct me. So let's start with that. Let's start with, the accreditation site visit occurred in October. There were findings, and from those findings, there were stipulations. And so the first quarterly report was in January. And in January, the institution brought to the COA a plan, but that plan included templates, right? Lots of templates that are still even under revision, because they're using a continuous improvement process that's there. And so what has happened to date from the institution, and they will correct me hopefully, so please correct me, has been more of a interactive process with their constituents to poll them to see, hey, what do you need? What do you need? And so that's kind of what's in addition to revising forms. Is that correct? Okay. So that's what's happened to date. And so now what I believe is going to happen is that so we had the COA meeting in January and specific things were asked for. We want to see what candidates are doing. We still don't know what's happening in this program, right? And so because it was confusing and we didn't have evidence outside of templates, and we're going to do focus groups. We're going to meet with our people. And so here we come to March and we have evidence that the program has provided that are focus groups. We have some information from focus groups, and we have the program saying that we're going to continue to meet with our people and gather information because we want to make sure we're meeting their needs. I think our COA members, two of them, captured it nicely to say, okay, it's great that you're gathering information from the people in your program, but how does that work with the standards? How are you marrying the standards, which is what every program's charged to meet with the needs of your candidates? And so now the COA is still, and staff is struggling with, where's the evidence to show that you're meeting the standards and the candidate's needs? So now what we're asking for in June, I think what the COA is asking for in June is show us what the candidates are doing that meets standards. How are your mentors working and coaches working with candidates to meet standards? And you're going to do that through any forms that you use with the candidates, any trainings or meetings that you have with coaches to refine their practice to meet standards, rubrics that you use to measure candidate growth to meet standards, and a plan for any candidate who doesn't meet that mark. What is the plan in place to get them there? And so providing that evidence will show that implementation, obviously, of that. And so that's kind of what I have. Yes, Katrina.
Yeah, I just looking again at the list of things that appear on page 4 of the second quarterly report. I mean, some of those could be included in your list, but I'm also thinking that some summary information on how the mentor's time was actually spent is something I would like to see at the end of the year. Again, to Member Hollis's point about understanding this is transition, understanding that there's changes underway, but also knowing how your mentors have, in fact, documented that their time, in fact, aligns with the standard. I mean, I think Dr. Colombini did a nice job of honoring your intent to hear from your participants, but your responsibility as a program sponsor is to know the standards and to hold your people to those standards. So it's marrying this way, you do this, horizontal integration thing. But to me, there is this imperative that whoever recommends these teachers for a credential knows what they're supposed to evidence and is adept at documenting that evidence, right? And I think that's what we're charged with verifying. That's at least my conundrum in this situation is not yet do I have the hard evidence to conclude that in fact what your people are doing and how they are being determined as eligible for a clear credential, how that actually matches the expectations of the state of California. No doubt that your people are positive about your program. But that's a different question than whether what your people are doing and how they are being evaluated aligns with standards. Related, but different.
And just if I can underline current standards, that seemed to be one aspect.
Right, because the ILP in here is from 2019. And a lot has changed since then. Yes, brand new standards out of the chute a couple years before this.
I just wanted to remark real quickly about the ILP that's in there from 2019. The reason we brought that one here, as you know, ILPs and IEPs tend to be pretty personal because they really reflect what's going on during their positions. So that was one that we had permission from the person to share. So that's why we brought that one here. But that's why the other ones were given to.
So I guess the operative word current. Right.
Right. Understandable. Yeah.
And the ones that we reviewed for candidates were still not aligned to the current standards. But again, it was, as they explained, the forms are going to be revised. So, but you're right, they do not meet the standard. So, so the items on page 9, the next steps. Can we make sure that 1 through 8 are the direction that, because we can cross out any, we can add any, we can go back to 4 and add page 4. I'm referring to, we can add whatever you want from page 4 down to page 9. I have the ones that we've discussed, that you've discussed, handwritten right here, because I follow up with an email to the institution immediately and list out everything so that we're really clear and it's fresh in our mind, kind of. But just to make sure.
Member Morrison.
On the next step, this is where it says May 2024. So maybe that's
that's it's my fault in another year. So June. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Colombini, you had mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you were saying that the stipulation 1 may be removed due to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, please that too. Thank you. I said that first, I wouldn't forget. My
No,
mind.
I'll be sure I ordered that correctly. All right.
Thank you. And thank you for the.
Sure. I was wondering if I could ask on number 2 of the steps. It's asked that the templates and the forms from the January 24 be used. And as I was explaining, I think we're really in the process of iterating those forms. So I think you're correct that we need to bring one that has been gone through the process. But again, we're really on that collaboration and calibration with our coaches particularly. And so I'm wondering if that would be possible to bring you a more updated form than necessarily the January. Also, because our participants and candidates are in the program right now, we don't want to switch their IEP or their ILP and IIP forms in the middle of the program. So
I'm wondering about item number 2, if we could amend that.
I guess that's the most important thing that Marlena just mentioned, because we have several versions of those forms. There's been multiple iterations. There's like, this work is happening all the time, every day and every week the work is happening. And there's been a couple of other versions even since January. And so we're pleased and we're looking forward to being able to bring those new forms. What hasn't happened is they weren't switched to those new forms in the middle of their progress and in the middle of their growth. Is that the recommendation from the COA that I'm hearing? Can I have clarification on that?
Sure. Member Croatia first, and then we'll address.
Or that different iteration, where are you bridging the gap? Where are we making sure that the candidates that are coming through are meeting current standards? I think that's the.
Yeah, and that's in any form that's going to be updated at any point. You're welcome to go ahead and submit that to the staff, and they'd be happy to add that within their documents. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, I just came to this other thought is we had these meetings in January. You're new kind of January, December. And so I think you're coming in running, trying to figure out these pieces. And that's what I keep going back to in my mind is there's probably a lot of different things going on. And so you're right, your candidate's experience doesn't necessarily need to change, but you do have a level of authority over the mentors and the coaches to say, hey, here's your no coaching form. That's the coach and mentor experience, not the candidate experience. And potentially throwing out there, like, this is an addendum to the IIP, ILP, because we realize, for example, in the cast, maybe they didn't reflect upon their leadership related to diversity and equity. So can you please have a conversation and talk about these pieces? And we have this addendum that now meets cast standard. Yeah, I think we're on this. Is that?
We are on the same page. Yes, exactly. Yes. And so collaboration and calibration have been really the focus, and we're really, and documentation, and we're really working on that, particularly with our coaches right now. That I think that is where the rubber is going to meet the road. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, and I appreciate
what we're doing right now. So thank you.
Every time I say something, you're nodding. So I think we're on the same page, and it really is that documentation. Here's the piece that's going to fulfill this piece because we're meeting this standard, and this is the credential being recommended, and then you're good. Our coaches weren't logging. Here's the new log they're doing, and they started that now. They backwards mapped the 47 other types of logs that were going on to this new log, crossed it over. Here's the new log. I think that's all it needs, and not that that's work, right? But that's the piece we kind of need to see is like, wow, look what was the turnaround to honor the great work that's being done. And I want to emphasize that because it's there, but it's not, the clarity is not there.
Okay, I'm changing the language number 2 to documentation that candidates are meeting the new standards.
And something might be helpful also would be, and I know it's a new process, well, like an ongoing process. Anytime something's revised, just feel free to submit that so it's constantly updated, but also be real comfortable and familiar with what the new standards are, because there are some changes within that. And oftentimes, if we're considering what was in the past and how it compares to what is current, I think just focusing on the current might be more advantageous.
Yeah. And just in the spirit of flexibility, we heard this morning that CSTPs undergoing updates, right? So why not be on the front of the wave, right? If you're looking at aligning to the CSTP, there you go, lead the field, right? I mean, this is a silver lining, an opportunity.
Okay, considering the time, any other new comments, anything for the good of the cause at this point? If not, we're going to entertain a motion. Before we entertain a motion, just realize it's going to be a bit of a tricky one. So who wants to take a shot at it? All in favor?
Well, this will be my first motion. So as long as there's grace and flexibility and.
Well, what better way to indoctrinate yourself? This is it.
So I move to accept Monterey County Office of Education's quarterly report with the noted list of requests that Dr. Colombini has and will be sharing with the institution.
And then we can note that as an amendment to the staff recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, and also removing that one stipulation as well.
And the removal of the stipulation 1.
Correct. That close enough? Okay, I think we got it. Close enough. Bravo. All right, Patch.
Yeah.
Is there a second? Second by everybody. The second by Member Lopez. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. I know this was a lengthy discussion, and just understand that again, we are here in a supportive fashion, and everybody here at the commission is doing so, and we appreciate the fact that you're here to speak to us as far as what is taking place. I would look forward to seeing you in a couple of months.
We appreciate your time. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it off to you. You good to go?
All right.
So at this point, formally going to pass it over to my co-chair, Katrina Tchaikovsky, who will take it from here.
All right. So lucky 13, item 13. We're running a little bit behind, so we'll see if we can make sure we have everybody here. So item 13 is report of the accreditation team to Santa Clara County Office of Education. Let's see, Consultant Miranda Gutierrez and Dr. Rosemary Wren will present this item. They're joined by team lead Alita Powers and institutional representatives, Ms. Kalpana Thate, Director, Educator Preparation Programs, and Adora Fisher, Executive Director, Educator Preparation Programs. Any recusals? Thank you all for waiting for us. Appreciate your being here.
I just want to update that Miranda Gutierrez is not with us, so Rosemary Wren will present the item.
Awesome. Thank you, Rosemary. Would you begin, please?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. This morning, I'm introducing the report on the site visit to the Santa Clara County Office of Education, which took place via Zoom February 4th through 7th, 2024. And Miranda Gutierrez and I were staff on the visit. The Santa Clara County Office of Education offers 6 educator preparation programs. We had a team of 7 reviewers who reviewed the common standards and program standards for each program. I'd just like to thank the site visit team, all of whom are volunteers who contribute their time and expertise, and also to thank the Santa Clara County Office of Education leadership for their work. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this report over to our team lead, Alita Powers.
Thank you, Rosemary. The Santa Clara County Office of Education site visit, as noted, was on February 4 to 7 via Zoom, and it followed all of the established procedures. We'd like to thank the Santa Clara County Office of Education for creating an open and welcoming environment that really facilitated the process. In particular, Adora Fisher, the Executive Director of Education Preparation Programs, and Kalpana Thate, Director of Education Preparation Programs, were organized and responsive in making sure that the team had access to the people, documentation, and information needed. Working collaboratively with school and community partners, Santa Clara County Office of Education serves 31 school districts. And the educator preparation programs are overseen by the executive director, with the director of EPP programs taking the lead on the day-to-day implementation. In 2022, EPP introduced the Educator Workforce Pathways, known as the EWP. Although not a credentialing program, the EWP is integrated into the efforts to recruit individuals into the educational field. The role of the Educator Career Workforce Pathways team is notable in the impact on leveraging a variety of sources, including County Office of Education funding, donations, and grants to provide the resources needed to expand the educator pipeline and support the programs. This resulted in the EPP department experiencing substantial expansion in the summer of 2023. Their effort to increase capacity to support more candidates includes an emphasis moving forward the countywide vision for increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion across all of their programs. And this focus emerged in nearly every interview group. It's important to note that the visit occurred during a time of transition. Several key leadership positions had changes in staffing, with those interviewed new to their positions. Some continuing and newly created positions were unfilled or awaiting final processing of selected personnel at the time of the visit. In addition to filling positions vacated due to promotions and restructuring, the program had recently begun the process of hiring additional staff due to the significant increases in their number of candidates. The team members had a consensus opinion that beyond concerns that are common amongst those offering numerous educational programs across many district partners, most could be remedied as personnel were given time to become more familiar with their new roles, implementing processes already, as well as making some needed revisions. The unanimous recommendation of accreditation with stipulations was reached. This was based on a thorough review of all institutional and programmatic information and materials available prior to and during the site visit, including interviews with administrators, faculty, candidates, completers, and local school personnel. The team obtained sufficient and consistent information that led to a high degree of confidence in making overall and programmatic judgments about the professional education unit's operation. Despite the number of standards less than fully met, the number of issues to address is significantly lower than it might appear, as there is overlap in what is needed to resolve the issues and clear the stipulations. The team determined that a higher level of stipulations is not recommended, and that new programs that are already in the approval pipeline not be impeded due to the very specific nature of the findings and the number of programs offered, as well as the quality of those programs. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you very much. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you this isn't a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit. Institutional representatives.
I just want to thank Alita as well as the site visit team. We realize that they're giving up and volunteering their time to do this work, and we appreciate all the time and the energy that that they took to examine our programs and to make the recommendations to the commission. We'd also like to thank the team from CTC. I have to say CTC is an amazing group of individuals, and the work that they do, it's just unbelievable, the amount of work that they're able to accomplish and the support that, at the same time, the support that they provide for programs across the state. As a program, we are eager to get to work and to address the stipulations, which we agree are, many of them overlap, and we feel can be addressed fairly easily as we get staff in place, but more importantly, that staff become stable and familiar with the aspects of the program that fall under their responsibility. So we just want to thank the commission, thank the site visit team, and thank the CTC professional services division and consultants for all the work that they've done, and let the commission know that we are eager to get to work and improve upon the program that we already implement.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you to the commission and thank you to the site visit team. We really appreciate the support and the guidance that we received. And as Ms. Fisher said, we are eager to get started. And thank you again for this opportunity.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Patrick, Member McKee.
Just for the team, I noticed that, and you highlighted a little bit that the second bullet of permitting them to continue to present new programs forward. In the report, it noted that one of the concerns was due to substantial expansion and substantial reorganization. Can you elaborate? Maybe you said there are some really important programs that they might be already having in line and you didn't want to take that approach by not allowing them to have additional programs?
Yeah. It was the opinion of the site review team after speaking with them and after interviewing the evidence that we would prefer that they not submit any new programs, but they do have 2 programs that are in the process. And they were able to show during the visit that they already have the infrastructure in place, including grants that have been acquired to fund those programs, to support those in accordance with the standards, especially once they begin to address the issues that have already been identified.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Other comments or questions from the committee? Yes, Member Hillis.
Yeah, just really quickly, although the answer may not be that quickly. Regarding continuous improvement, it seemed like that was a pretty strong thread through the report. And I'm curious if you've had initial kind of plans on how to address that. And specifically, it looked like currently it's a fairly distributed approach to continuous improvement, and whether there's some thoughts about how to centralize that a little bit more fully.
So in regards to continuous improvement, I also want to bring the Commission's attention to Standard 5 in the Common Standards, which was fully met. And Standard 5 has to do with impact. So the program is impactful. And we feel that's impactful because of the improvements that we've made to the program over the years. The continuous improvement concern, I think, more so lends itself to looking at continuous improvement as a standardized process, ensuring that all stakeholders have a opportunity for input in continuous improvement, and that there is a standardized process and a defendable process to address continuous improvement. One of the other issues that arose during the site visit was we have surveys for actually every stakeholder within the program. Many of those surveys were eliminated. We use SurveyMonkey for our surveys. Many of those surveys were eliminated because of a staff change. And when the staff person left, those surveys just disappeared out of the system. So evidence couldn't be provided that every program and every stakeholder had access to input, because many of those surveys were gone and there was no way to recreate them or present them. So in the future, moving forward, we put in place some key processes. We've already done that will ensure that our survey data will always remain in the system and will not disappear if a staff member leaves. So we've already taken care of that. And then the next step for us is to look at centralizing a standardized process for continuous improvement that will lend itself to a larger community body. And we're considering using our advisory board as that community body, along with a consortium of other stakeholders. It's our early childhood education and district consortium to be a part of a standardized community continuous improvement process.
Thank you. I just, in light of the fact that teacher induction was the area where we had 2 not met standards, would you share with us briefly some of your thoughts about where to start working on that critical aspect of your programs? What are you thinking will be your first steps regarding teacher induction?
So let me answer that. So one of the feedbacks we received was from the site review team was about coaches not receiving adequate or specific feedback on the work that they are doing. And so in doing so, what we have already a plan in place where the coaches will have their own coaching standards and they will receive feedback on how they are meeting those standards. And those are, for the coaches, their own personal growth as a coach and how they support their candidates. And that will be all documented on our Canvas platform where candidates upload their documents, and that will be the same platform that the coaches will use. Our coaching consultant who works with the coaches and trains the coaches will be able to provide that feedback consistently, one-on-one or individualized as needed to the coaches based on their own standard, based on their goals and based on what they are able to provide as evidence of their coaching practice. So that's about the coaches. That was one of the standards that was found to be not met. In terms of the portfolio evaluations, what we had in place was a system where the portfolios were evaluated by coaches, but they were not, evaluating their own candidates' portfolio, and they were evaluating others. But during the pandemic, some of that was lost because of the closures of our in-person programs. And programs strictly being online. So moving forward, we also, as Ms. Fisher stated earlier, we have staff in place, and that staff is going to, as they are learning and as they are getting situated and settled in their positions, and they're taking on these responsibilities, we'll have an identified coordinator who evaluates and who looks through the portfolios to make sure that each candidate has undergone two specific evaluations, if you will, one from their coach directly and one from the program. So the coordinator can evaluate and make sure that what coaches are saying, what the candidates are saying is actually evident in their submission of their documents. So that's the preliminary plan for now. And as we finalize all the nuts and bolts of each plan, we will have a solid structure in place within the next few months.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, this is an action item. Member Hillis?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the team's recommendation for accreditation and stipulations for the Santa Clara Office of Education.
Seconded by Member Hallis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, motion passes. Carries. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. We're almost half an hour, a little bit behind here, but this is item 14. This is a report of actions taken by San Jose Unified School District to address stipulations. Consultant Roxanne Verdu will introduce this item, and joining her are institutional representatives, Melita Nerhud, Director, Secondary Curriculum Instruction and EL